Marcus Webb sat in his cell at county jail, his fists clenched tight. 3 days had passed since his arrest, and rage burned hotter with each hour. The bail hearing was tomorrow morning. His brother had already promised to post bond. By this time tomorrow, he'd be free, and Rebecca would pay for what she'd done. In his mind, he replayed it over and over. Those bikers humiliating him, Rebecca pressing charges, that brat Tyler crying for help. All of it could have been avoided if Rebecca had just known her place. "She thinks she's safe," Marcus muttered to his cellmate, a skinny meth addict named Danny. "But I know where her sister lives. I know where she works. I'll find her." Danny nodded but said nothing. He'd learned not to engage with Marcus's rants. What Marcus didn't know was that Victor Kane had anticipated exactly this. The Thunder Knights weren't just protecting Rebecca for a week or a month. They were in this for the long haul. At the clubhouse that same evening, Victor spread photos across the table. His brothers gathered around, faces serious in the dim light. "This is Marcus Webb's known associates," Victor explained, tapping each photo. "His brother owns fast bail bonds on 3rd Street. His cousin runs a pawn shop that's suspected of fencing stolen goods. He's got 3 buddies from prison who live within 20 miles. "You think they'll help him come after Rebecca?" asked Snake, the club's sergeant-at-arms. "I know they will. Men like Marcus don't let go. They see it as a pride thing." Victor pulled out another document. "I talked to Rebecca's lawyer today. The DA is building a solid case, but it'll take months to go to trial. Until then, Marcus will be free on bail." Axel, the club president, leaned back in his chair. "So what's the play?" "We send a message," Victor said. "A clear one. Not just to Marcus, but to everyone in his circle. Rebecca Martinez and her son are under Thunder Knight's protection. Anyone who touches them answers to all of us." "That could be seen as threatening," warned Riggs, the former medic. "We need to stay on the right side of the law." Victor smiled coldly. "We're not threatening anyone. We're just making our presence known. There's a difference." The next morning, Marcus walked out of county jail at 8:47 a.m. His brother Frank waited in the parking lot, leaning against his BMW with a cigarette hanging from his lips. "About time," Frank said. "You look like hell." 3 days in that cage," Marcus growled, stretching his arms. "But I'm out now. We need to find Rebecca. I've got plans for that." He stopped mid-sentence. Across the street, 8 motorcycles were parked in a perfect line. 8 Thunder Knights sat on their bikes, engines idling, arms crossed. They weren't doing anything illegal. They were just there, watching. Victor raised his hand in a slow, deliberate wave. Marcus's face went red. "What the hell? They can't—" "They can," Frank said nervously. "It's a public street. They're not breaking any laws." Marcus stormed toward his brother's car, trying to ignore the bikers. But as Frank drove away, he checked the rearview mirror. 2 motorcycles followed at a distance, never getting too close, never doing anything that could be called harassment. Just following. Just watching. It continued for 3 days straight. Everywhere Marcus went, Thunder Knights appeared. When he stopped at the grocery store, 2 bikers parked nearby. When he went to his brother's bail bonds office, 3 more waited across the street. When he tried to visit his cousin's pawn shop, 4 motorcycles blocked the parking lot entrance, legally parked, not breaking any rules. By day 4, Marcus was losing his mind. "They're stalking me," he shouted at Sheriff Cruz, who'd agreed to meet him at the station. "This is harassment. You need to arrest them." Sheriff Cruz looked tired. He'd dealt with Marcus before and had little sympathy. "Marcus, I've reviewed the reports. The Thunder Knights are parking on public streets, following traffic laws, and not threatening or approaching you. That's not illegal. They're intimidating me." "Maybe," Cruz agreed. "But intimidation isn't a crime unless it involves specific threats. Have they threatened you?" Marcus's jaw worked. "No, but..." Then my hands are tied. My advice? Leave town. Go stay with family somewhere else until your trial. Because those bikers, they're not going anywhere. That night Marcus made a mistake, a big one. He called his prison buddy, a violent enforcer named Dale Kruger. Dale owed Marcus a favor from their time inside, and Marcus was ready to collect. "I need you to send a message," Marcus said into his burner phone. "There's a woman, Rebecca Martinez, and her kid. I want them scared, hurt if necessary. Can you handle it?" What Marcus didn't know was that Dale's phone had been tapped by the FBI for months as part of a racketeering investigation. And the Thunder Knights had a friend in the bureau. 2 hours later, Victor's phone rang. It was Agent Sarah Chen, someone he'd helped years ago when her daughter went missing. The Thunder Knights had organized a massive search party and found the girl within 24 hours. "Victor," Sarah said without preamble, "we just intercepted a call. Marcus Webb is hiring someone to hurt Rebecca Martinez and her son. The hit is happening tomorrow night." Victor's blood went cold. "Where?" "We don't know yet. But I'm sending you everything we have." "Victor, officially, I can't tell you to intervene, but unofficially—" She paused. "Keep that woman and her kid safe." "Always," Victor said. The Thunder Knights mobilized immediately. Within an hour, 23 members had gathered at the clubhouse. Rebecca and Tyler were brought to a safe house, a member's cabin 40 miles outside town, surrounded by woods and accessible only by a single dirt road. 6 bikers stayed with them as protection. The rest prepared for what was coming. "Dale. Kruger," Victor said, showing his brothers a mugshot. 6'2", 240 pounds, multiple assault convictions. He's dangerous and he's coming for Rebecca." "When?" asked Spike. "Tomorrow night. We don't know where yet, but my guess is he'll try Rebecca's apartment first." Axel nodded. "Then that's where we'll be waiting." The next evening, Rebecca's apartment building looked quiet. Lights glowed in various windows. A TV flickered behind curtains. Everything appeared normal. But in the parking lot's shadows, 17 Thunder Knights waited. They'd positioned themselves carefully. Some in cars, some on bikes hidden behind dumpsters, some on the building's roof with night vision binoculars. Victor sat in a pickup truck with Snake and Riggs, watching the main entrance through tinted windows. "You really think he'll come?" Snake asked. "Men like Dale don't back down once they take a job," Victor replied. "He'll come. Question is whether he comes alone." At 9:47 p.m., a black pickup truck rolled slowly past the building. It circled once, twice, then parked 3 spaces from the entrance. 2 men got out. One was Dale Kruger, massive and mean-looking. The other was smaller, wiry, with the jerky movements of someone high on meth. "2 of them," Riggs muttered into his radio. "Heading for the entrance now." Dale and his friend reached Rebecca's apartment door. Dale pulled out a crowbar, wedging it into the doorframe. That's when the lights came on. Suddenly, the entire parking lot blazed with brightness. Motorcycle engines roared to life from every direction. Thunder Knights emerged from shadows, surrounding the 2 men completely. Dale spun around, crowbar still in hand, eyes wide. "Drop it," Victor said, walking forward with Sheriff Cruz beside him. "You're done." "We're just—" Dale started. "You're just attempting a home invasion," Cruz interrupted, handcuffs already out, "and making terroristic threats, conspiracy to commit assault, and about 6 other charges." "I want a lawyer," Dale growled. "You'll get one. But first, you're getting arrested." Cruz looked at Victor. "You called this in when?" "About 30 minutes ago. Said we had reliable information about an attempted break-in." Victor smiled. "Just concerned citizens doing our civic duty." As Cruz loaded Dale and his accomplice into his patrol car, Victor made a phone call. "It's done," he told Rebecca. "They tried to come for you. They failed. You're safe." Rebecca's sob of relief was audible even over the phone. Thank you. God, thank you so much. Marcus Webb heard about Dale's arrest within hours. He also heard that the Thunder Knights had been the ones to stop it, working with the sheriff to protect Rebecca. His rage turned to something else. Fear. These bikers weren't going away. They had resources, connections, and they were smarter than he'd given them credit for. And now Dale would probably cut a deal, testifying that Marcus had hired him. For the first time, Marcus realized he might actually go to prison for a long time. 3 weeks later, Marcus Webb's trial began. The courtroom was packed. Rebecca sat in the front row with Tyler beside her. Behind them, filling 6 entire benches, sat the Thunder Knights. They didn't wear their cuts. The judge had asked them to dress respectfully. But everyone knew who they were and why they were there. The prosecutor presented overwhelming evidence, medical reports documenting Rebecca's injuries, testimony from hospital staff, the diner security footage showing Tyler's desperate plea for help. And finally, the FBI's recording of Marcus trying to hire Dale Kruger to hurt Rebecca and Tyler. Marcus's lawyer tried to argue self-defense, tried to claim Rebecca had attacked him first. But the jury didn't buy it. After 3 days of testimony, they deliberated for just 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Rebecca closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. Tyler hugged her tight. Behind them, the Thunder Knight sat silent and satisfied. At sentencing 2 weeks later, the judge was harsh. Mr. Webb, you systematically terrorized a woman and her child for nearly a year. When she finally found the courage to escape, you attempted to have her killed. You show no remorse, no understanding of the pain you've caused. The judge looked at Rebecca. Ms. Martinez has shown remarkable courage, and she's been fortunate to have a community that stood beside her, particularly the Thunder Knights Motorcycle Club, whose intervention likely saved her life. He turned back to Marcus. I'm sentencing you to 15 years in state prison, with no possibility of parole for the first 10 years. During that time, you will have no contact with Ms. Martinez or her son. If you attempt any contact, directly or through third parties, you'll face additional charges. Marcus's face went pale. 15 years. As guards led him away in chains, he looked back at Rebecca one last time. She met his eyes without flinching, Tyler's hand in hers, surrounded by bikers who'd become her family. She'd won. 6 months after Marcus's sentencing, Lucy's Diner held a community celebration. The Thunder Knights had partnered with local domestic violence shelters to create a new program, Ride for Safety. Any woman or child escaping abuse could call a hotline, and Thunder Knights would provide immediate protection, safe transport, temporary housing connections, and visible presence until legal protections could be established. Rebecca became the program's first official advocate, sharing her story to help other victims find courage. A year ago, I thought I'd never escape, she told the crowd gathered at Lucy's. I thought Marcus would find me anywhere I went. I thought I was alone. She looked at Tyler, now 9 years old and healthy, his eyes bright with life that had been absent when Victor first saw him. But my son taught me something. He taught me that asking for help isn't weakness, that there are good people who will stand up when it matters, that sometimes heroes wear leather and ride motorcycles. The crowd applauded. Victor, sitting with his brothers, felt uncomfortable with the attention, but proud of what they'd built. Tyler came up to the microphone, his mother's hand on his shoulder for support. I was really scared that day, he said, his voice small but clear. I didn't know if anyone would help. But Mr. Victor and his friends, they didn't even think about it. They just helped. He looked at Victor. You saved my mama. You saved me. And now you're helping lots of other families. You're real heroes. After the celebration, Victor stood outside watching the sunset paint the sky, orange and purple. Axel joined him, lighting a cigarette. Never thought we'd be running a domestic violence protection program. Axel said with a slight smile. Never thought a lot of things, Victor agreed. But that kid running into Lucy's, crying for help, changed something. Made me realize we could do more than just ride and drink beer. The club's changed, Axel observed. We're still the Thunder Knights, still tough when we need to be. But we're something else now, too. What's that? A family that's bigger than blood. A protection that's stronger than fear. Axel flicked ash from his cigarette. I'm proud of what we've become. Victor nodded. Me too. Inside the diner, Rebecca and Tyler laughed with Lucy, their faces relaxed and happy. Safe, protected, free. And in the parking lot, 23 motorcycles gleamed under the streetlights, ready to ride at a moment's notice for anyone who needed help. Because that's what the Thunder Knights did now. They protected those who couldn't protect themselves. They answered desperate cries for help. They stood between the vulnerable and those who would hurt them. Tyler's courage that Saturday morning had changed everything. His willingness to run for help, to trust strangers wearing leather and looking dangerous, had sparked something that would protect countless families in the years to come. Sometimes salvation comes from the most unexpected places. Sometimes heroes really do ride Harleys.